All right. Well, I think I am live at this point and just posting some things here. I just I received a text today that talking about an incident in and around a marina, and I just compelled me to share some information. I thought it would be good to just touch base back again on this thing called Marina Safety in light of the event that apparently was just reported this morning out of Arizona. Unfortunately, it's not a unique case, but one that I think should help. We should raise our awareness around marina safety. And I've got some links down below from a YouTube perspective. So if you check my YouTube channel, for those of you on Facebook, check out my YouTube channel. This video, there are links down below, which I'm going to talk about right now. I'm just going to walk through a couple of the resources I have for you that will hopefully just again, we've got to do as much as we can to share what we know about electrical safety, share what we know about recognizing shock hazards with those who may we're in the middle of summer, we're in the middle of the heat, and there are a lot of people that want to go out and enjoy the weather, enjoy waters and whatnot, and that is great. Marinas can be a great fun place to visit and great fun place to be, as long as we can recognize the hazards in those areas. So that's what this focus little news release is about, and hopefully some of the information that I share in this video you may find of use. And then please, make others aware of this that might not be in the electrical industry. I probably have more people watching these videos that are in the same industry as myself, and I just want to make sure that we know that there are other people who might not be in our industry. They may have a boat, they may have children who get out there and they want to, swim in and around a marina. So the more we raise awareness, the more that we're educated on recognizing the hazards, the better off we all are. So my resources that sorry about that. Bad location for the buttons. Some of the real resources I have for you. This is the news report. I've got both news reports, one out of CNN and one out of Fox News. Apparently, there's a person missing, 4 injured in a suspected electrocution incident in Arizona Marina. You can check that out. The link to that news article is below. My only issue is those links will probably only work as long as the news station that's posting it keeps it up there. So I have no control over that, but those links are down below. Suffice it to say that if you read through the article on CNN, or if you read through the article on Fox News, don't click on that video right there, because every time I click on it thinking that it's going to be on the marina issue, it's the actual national forecast for Monday. But in any case, there's a description. It says 1 person was killed and 2 others critically injured at a lake in Arizona on Sunday night after a possible electrocution. And the story goes through and describes they know there was presence of voltage in the water, and the first responders had to kill power to the marina. But in any case, again, you can check out those news reports. The resources I have. One is from NFPA, which I think is really good. It's a marina and boating safety. They talk even more than just electrical safety. There's some things in here about carbon monoxide safety, et cetera, talking about the risks. And there's some pieces in here on electrical safety. So this is one of the resources that I shared with you, and again, in a link down below. Another resource is an article from IAEI News Magazine. And I thought this was the article from Donnie Cook, but this actually was mine from 2014. And if you remember, in 2014, we were in the middle of the 2017 National Electrical Code cycle, where we did a lot of changes in the Article 555 for marinas. So this article I wrote trying to convey some of the issues that we were seeing in and around marinas, what the problem was, talking about the story of Nate and obviously Lucas Ritz as well, and others. And there's some links in there to some reference links in that article as well for you. I talked about freshwater versus saltwater in this article, and if you were a part of my Shock Week event, we talked about Marina Safety specifically, and and I've got a link to that event. I'm going to try to, I'm going to try to put a link up. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go like this. Check out the link above. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that happen, but they see these little blurbs come across the YouTube videos, and I think you can click on those and go to another video. I'm going to try to do that. I'm still learning. But in any case, I have another video. The link is down below in the description to that video from Shock Week that focused on marinas. So that might give you some awareness of the issues that we're experiencing in and around marinas. Talk about the codes and standards in this article. So this is a good resource for you. I think it's a good resource, even though I wrote it. I mean, I'm just trying to raise awareness on this. And I know there was another article in here from Donnie Cook, or it could have been his presentation at the Western Section meeting. I can't remember, but I know Donnie Cook did something on marinas as well. Donnie is a chief electrical inspector out of Shelby County, Alabama, and he's inspected marinas. And I've gone on inspections with Donnie in Alabama to various marinas. A lot of my images came from my experiences with Donnie Cook. But in any case, I couldn't find his article. I might be thinking about one of his presentations from the Western Section meeting. And it just dawned on me, the Western Section meeting, as I was feverishly looking for his article. Another resource is the Electrical Safety Foundation International, ESFI. They have a webpage titled Boating and Marina Safety. I think this is a really good reference. They talk about the electric shock drowning and electric shock drowning awareness, and some of the resources available. They talked about the 2017 National Electrical Code. Again, a lot of changes happened in that 17 cycle, and a lot of things for the good. But there are a lot of marinas out there that weren't installed or designed with the 2017 code in mind. So we've got to keep raising awareness that, I don't care what marina it is, you go out to a marina or you go to a boat dock or whatever it is, keep your eyes looking as you're walking through, looking for those hazards. And I'm going to show some, what the heck? I don't know why I do that. I'm going to show you some images towards the end of this, but before I cut out, of some areas some pictures from marinas that I would say should raise your awareness that there might be something that you would be concerned about with regard to safety in and around that marina. But again, a lot of the issues that we experience are not coming from the marina itself. There are a lot, I don't want to say some or most, I don't want to use terms like that. There are incidents where the boats were the source of the fault current in a marina. You can have a marina that looks impeccable, and you can have a boat that looks impeccable. If there's a fault on that boat for whatever reason, it could be any reason. If there's a fault that's finding its way into the water, and in a lot of cases, the fault will find its way into the water through the boat propellers. You can say, well, that's a fiberglass hull, or it's a plastic boat. How could currents or voltages be introduced into a water? It could be through the propeller, the motor, the engine, things of that, or a railing that's over the edge, a ladder, etc. So in any case, this is a great resource for you, Electrical Safety Foundation International, esfi.org. If you just go to www.esfi.org, there are a lot of other resources there as well. So I would encourage you to explore ESFI, especially if your electrical contractor deals with residential wiring, etc. Share this site with the homeowners. Share this site with builders. Share this site with people outside of our electrical profession, because there's a lot of really good information in here. You'll notice they have home safety, they have workplace safety, disaster safety, kids safety, and programs and initiatives. So there's a lot of really great resources for electrical safety that I would say, share. And ESFI does a great job at putting links to other locations like NFPA and other organizations that might have information around a lot of different electrical safety tidbits. And there's a link to this boating and marina safety down below. Another one is there's a website that's called electricshockdrowning.org. I have, I've found this this website many different times searching for things, and I have a link to this brochure down below. But I probably should have put that through. But if you just put in www.electricshockdrowning.org, that is another website that focuses on marinas. And top left is Lucas Ritz, and you've got Cunningham in here. You've got all of the different individuals. You'll notice there's kids up here, there's grown adults, and here's what happens typically. And I don't know what happened in Marina in Arizona this morning, what that report's all about. But I know I've heard other article or other reports where you have one person who's experiencing a shock and is in the water, and then what do? We all want to help, right? So we rush in to help, we dive in the water, and then that person suffers. And then another person. I know of at least one article of a family of people who had passed away just trying to help the other individual. So we've got to really understand the hazard and then try to come up with an understanding of how to address that. Diving in the water may not be a good idea. What happened, I did read through the report from Arizona, and the firefighters recognized there was an issue with presence of voltage in the water. So they did not just dive right in. They sought to isolate the power to that marina. At least that's basically what the news report said. Again, I don't know the details of it. All I know is that it's another report, and we are in the middle of summer, and I know that we're going out on vacations. We're going to go out on the boats. There's going to be increased opportunities to be exposed to electric shock. So this is a great, in my opinion, it's a good there's a good Q&A in here, and there's a good resource. And again, if you just go to the electricshockdrowning.org, let's just do that real quick. Again, that was just the brochure, but if you just go to electricshockdrowning.org, there is a lot of good information in here about raising the awareness of shock in and around these locations. So, there's videos in here. There are there's the Lucas, and if you recall from Shock Week, we talked about marinas, and I put the link to Lucas's story in my description. So there's a lot of really good reference information for you from Electric Shock Drowning Prevention Association. And I believe my last, my final link that I would share is my, shock references for your library. I haven't updated this since I think it was I updated it live, if I'm not mistaken, during I don't know if it was Shock Week or if there was another one I did. I was working live, and I updated my reference. Hey, David, glad you can join me, David. I was sitting here and I got a text from Vinny, a co-worker of mine out of our busman division, and he knows I'm passionate about shock in and around marinas, and he sent me that report, which is linked down below, about the Arizona. You got both the CNN, I got the Fox. I didn't grab the other news. I was going to try to grab each news station. The reason I like to grab different news stations is because sometimes it's depending upon the reporter who was there or whatnot, there might be additional information. But I'm sure, I believe it just occurred either last night or this morning or yesterday. So they're probably not going to release a lot of details in about that. And it, there's indications. So they believe it was electric shock drowning. They're still searching for somebody, I believe. But in any case, it's very sad news. But we're in the middle of summer. So we're going to be out and about, and we need to understand how to recognize shock hazards. Now, to that end, I went through my PowerPoint slide deck, and I'm just going to show just various images here. I believe I had a little image bank at the end, because you know what I typically will do, like on some of my presentations, you never feel comfortable that you think you've got enough material to cover however many hours that you're going to present. But the real fallback is to simply put a bunch of images in and then just talk about them, and that can eat up a lot of time. So, wrong. Let me do slideshow and go to monitor 2. I think that's really monitor 3, but we're going to give it a whim. There it is. I didn't want to go from the beginning. So anyway, here we go. Present mode, not from beginning mode. All right, so this is obviously, there's an issue with this receptacle. When you see any type of, to recognize shock hazards, you're looking for openings, you're looking for equipment that looks like it's been applied outside of its ratings. You look and you see something like this, you don't know the extent of the damage that occurred in this piece of equipment. You could have damaged the GFCI protection in this equipment. You could have damaged the wiring ahead of the GFCI protection in the equipment. You don't know. When you see dirt, or you see soot from an apparent either an electrical fire or whatnot that was in an electrical assembly, there's a challenge there. There's a problem. Shut it off. Isolate it. If you see it and it's still energized, bring it to the attention of somebody. I mean, that's the least we can do, is just raise awareness that there might be an issue. When you see conductors that have been rubbed clean from the insulation, and you're seeing exposed wires, in this case, I mean, these exposed wires were in the water. This is a obvious indication that there's a problem. I don't care what the voltage is. I mean, if you see low voltage power, like LED lighting circuit that's 24 volt DC, obviously that 50 volts is the threshold for shock. But we may, the eyes of the beholder will, and what's behind those eyes will determine whether or not they can tell the difference between what's a 50 volt circuit versus a 120 volt circuit. Okay, so you see exposed conductors touching the water or in around the water. That's a concern. In this case, there was conductors that were damaged. They tried to wrap tape around them, etc. Not going to provide you the protection that you need in a lot of cases. This may or may not be, that those conductors there are probably not energized. They were probably abandoned in place. It's hard to tell what's energized and what's not energized. When you abandon something in place, there's methods. You need to either remove it, isolate it, do something to keep those conductors from being exposed. This is a blatant obvious issue where you have exposed conductors, and there's a cigarette butt in there, right? So, somebody put the cigarette butt in there when that box was open, and not good. Okay, not good. I'm just saying, you need to recognize that, and it could be that, we don't know if that's energized or not. Actually, that could be not energized. It could have been abandoned in place, and the electrician might say, "Oh yeah, that's not a problem. That's not energized." But when it's not energized, get rid of it. Still put a cover on it. Make it look, don't expose those conductors, because here's what we do when we leave stuff like this. Even if it's not energized, this was energized, but if it wasn't energized, and we say, well, that's fine because it's not energized, no, it's still not good. And here's why. When we start seeing this stuff and you say, well, that's not energized, you got the what do you call it, I don't know what the heck the name was, the cried fire or whatever, how many times, and then when it really happened, Nobody believed them, right? So you condition people that is not a hazard, and you keep doing that, and you say, well, it's not energized, it's not a hazard. It's not energized, it's not a hazard. But that next one that they come upon that is energized and doesn't have a cover, what they're thinking is it's not energized, it's not a hazard. So we've got to deal with things, whether they're, whether even if they're not energized, don't let that stuff get exposed. This is your shore power. It doesn't have a cover. The cover used to be there. It's not there anymore. It's getting exposed to the elements. That product is probably going to fail and not saying it will, but it could create a shock hazard. This, I mean, come on. It's a receptacle. It's supposed to be installed in an enclosure. That's exposed energized conductors. When they plug that in I don't know why they would do that. I know why they would do that. We're innovative people. We want a solution, and I can go down and put things together, and I can hook up power. I can get things energized. It may not be safe, but I'll get the power going. We got to recognize these things are not good. Exposed insulate or exposed terminations like this. And that's got obvious issues with the issues are too many to recognize. When you see lugs and you see contamination on circuit breakers, etc., or any type of wiring system, you see hazard things that don't look right. It's probably not right, especially if they're exposed. This guy. What do you say? I mean, do you leave it that way, like that? If it's energized, all I got to do is reach around and I'm touching hot and neutral. Even if I'm touching hot and neutral, what am I? I'm a load. Well, I'm a load. That's true. But you're a part of the circuit now. Even a GFCI is not going to protect you in that situation, because now you're a part of the load. The current has to go outside of the normal path for a GFCI to react. If you grab hot and neutral on a ground fault circuit interrupter protected circuit, you are a part of that circuit. You're still in the path. The GFCI is not going to open. Obvious damage to the enclosure. I can get water intrusion, depending upon where these holes are. I mean, that's not good. That's a recognition right there if the outside of the breaker looks like that, I don't know what the inside. Look, all the screws are the rust. In a marina environment, we use stainless steel materials. Now, it doesn't mean stainless steel can't corrode, can't rust, etc. But it looks to me like somebody replaced those, and somebody probably didn't use the right hardware. I don't know. I don't know the right answer to that one. It just doesn't look good, and I put my hands in my pocket when I start seeing stuff like that. Using the wrong fittings, the wrong enclosures. There's this. I mean, they've got tape over the one breaker. At least there's not all the holes. You can't have a lot of these holes like this sticking. I don't know about the outside of this, but the tape around that circuit breaker. I don't know if that's their official lockout tagout. And I learned what these are. I believe that's a dirt dauber. I never knew what dirt daubers were until I went on this Alabama inspection. I mean, I looked at that and was like, wow. I mean, that's interesting, right? You just got, in some cases, there's, I think that's the wrong box. Got the wrong fittings. Those terminations are exposed. I don't know. You got wires in the ground with insulation. So as you walk through a marina, you're going to be looking for things. Look for things that just don't add up. Looks like somebody did it themselves, rigged it up. I don't know. We have when presented with challenges, we will come up with fixes, and then the MacGyver comes out in all of us. And duct tape seems to be the first point of interest, and then it's just a wire. I'm not going to. It's not like plumbing where you let the water out. Can't see the electrons, right? So you got to make sure you use the right fittings, the right. I mean, I love this. It's the wrong wire. Look at this. These are all the wrong wiring. They're not rated for that environment. It's when you see standard SP, this is what we call an SPT2 cord. There's a hot and a neutral. It's not rated for a wet location. These connectors are not rated for wet locations. You got to recognize these issues, and we may not. This is not a listed cover. Okay, this is not a listed enclosure. Taking wood, wrap it around a receptacle, putting some tar paper, or I don't know, looks like shingle or something, or I don't know what that is. It's almost cloth based. Cutting little slots for, not good, right? This is the stuff, this is the stuff that causes problems. There was one of the shock, and watch my video that's linked down below from Shock Week. One of the cases was a death because of water that got into a receptacle outlet or a switch. I can't remember if it was a receptacle or a switch, but when you have when you're not using the right fittings, the right conductors, etc., water is going to get in. This is mounted to a metal frame on a plate. It's when you mount it to that, there's a bond that goes on there that is probably bonded with other metal inside that marina, and when water gets in there, it will energize things that are connected to it. Could be the water, could be anything you could grab. So these are just images that I've collected and I've found and I've taken. Most of these I've taken. Some of them are given to me for programs. Look at it. I mean, what's that? I mean, you just don't take a receptacle, put a little cover over it, and call it a day. So be mindful of this. And when we walk into these locations, keep your eyes open. It's an outdoor location. Electrical products don't last forever. They're going to degrade based upon the environment that you put them in. And in some cases, especially if they're not installed correctly, they were probably a hazard when they were installed, but it's just going to get worse, right? So if you're not following the rules, not following the rules per the National Electrical Code, if you're not following manufacturers' instructions on how to properly use that product, you're creating opportunities for issues. So these are just some of the photos from my adventures in and around these areas, and other people that sent them to me and told me to use them in my educational work. So it's just trying to raise awareness that especially in light of what occurred in Arizona, and sorry about that. I thought I would just at least go out there, get on live, and provide some references for you down below. Maybe we can save a life together, but get the message out. Let people know there are hazards in and around these environments, these boat docks and marinas, etc. It could be a residential, it could be behind someone's house. Okay, we have to raise the awareness that there could be straight currents, voltage gradients inside the water. Don't swim. I don't even want to give advice on what to do when it happens. I mean, if you're experiencing it, I can tell you stories of there was one individual who the fault was the ladder that was extending into the water. And when they felt the pulse in the water, when they felt something was going wrong, their inclination was swim into the ladder to get out, but then they were swimming towards the hazard. So in some cases, you don't know that what you perceive as safety may not be safety. So it's a tough situation, difficult to navigate, no pun intended, those waters. So just be mindful, raise your awareness of it, share with other people that, hey, you're going to a marina. Keep the kids under close eye. Be aware of your surroundings. Look at the condition of maintenance. Look at the condition of the equipment in the areas that you are working. I mean, or going to be in and around. Marinas offer unique. I mean, we've got statistics around marinas, so it's an issue that needs to be addressed. But just be mindful of that. So, all right. So that's what I wanted to share with all of y'all. And check the links down below. Stay safe, stay healthy, please. And we can make a difference together. I firmly believe it. And if we just communicate, communication's the key. So share the information, spread the awareness, and do what you can to help increase safety in and around marinas. And marinas can be fun. They can be a great place to have fun with your family and friends. So let's not spoil that with a little bit of electricity going in the wrong direction. All right, so this is Thomas Dimitrovich, and I'm going to sign off because I've got to get back to work and do my job. All right, so it is about lunchtime for most of you in the East Coast, so enjoy your lunch while I get back to work. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for what you do for electrical safety and the electrical industry, and stay safe, and please stay healthy. And I am going to stop streaming.